This session is about SolidWorks drawings, talking a little bit about sheet templates, formats, and custom properties. And as you saw just a minute ago, my name's Tommy Ray. I work for Modern Tech, live in the Gulf Coast area of southern Alabama, lower LA to some people. I've been working in the SolidWorks VAR channels for about 5 years and worked with several different industries out there. Today, just to kind of cover a few of the topics that we're going to talk about, we're going to be looking at sheet size, talk about sheet format, sheet templates, title block design, and then custom properties. Now, if you guys are familiar with SolidWorks at all, you're going to know that SolidWorks, first of all, uses templates for all of their startups or all their first times. So if you haven't already, you'll be able to create a part template, an assembly template, and then a drawing template. Now, in most cases, you're going to find that the part and the assembly templates are pretty easy. You just go in there, you set your standard drawing standard, you set your units of measure, things like that to begin with, and then you save it as a part template or as an assembly template, and that's all there is to that. And we're going to talk a little bit about where those things can be found, how you can adjust them, or how you can actually create a network template set. So if you have a network and you have the ability to contact or connect to that network through all your engineers or all your users, then each one of those will be able to use the same templates, and you'll have everything consistent throughout the whole thing. I'm used to doing the teaching and stuff, so this is very informal. I will have time for questions at the end, but if you guys have a question and you want to see something right now, just raise your hand and we'll see what we can do as far as answering that question and moving forward. First of all, sheet size. Now, most of you know that with drawings, if we kind of talk about this for a minute, I said it was different from parts and assemblies. Why is it different? Well, because one thing that's different is because you have multiple variables that you have to control. First of all, you have your sheet size. And that sheet size is what we're looking at here. That's one of the variables. SolidWorks gives you a listing of standards that you can pick from as far as sheet size is concerned. Being a European company, the ISO is for sure there, and the ANSI are both predominant. So as you take a look at the screenshots here, you're going to see that the ISO and the ANSI are up there. You don't see the ISO in this case, but the ANSI is up there. Now, there's one little box up above that I wanted to kind of point out, and that's only show standard format. The reason that that's there is so that you can set your template up for a certain format and only see those sheet formats or those sheet sizes. Without that checked, you're going to see all sheet formats and all sheet sizes. Okay, so you'll get the ANSI and the ISO, the DIN, the JIS, and those other ones. So as we go through this, we're going to talk a little bit about the sheet size and the standards. You can kind of see that already. Now let's talk a little bit about some of the settings here and how we get to this point. Again, with the part of this PowerPoint shows you being able to go to properties. Right-clicking on your drawing, going to properties allows you to access the template or the properties for this sheet, and this window pops up. If we take a look at what's on this window, you see that first of all at the top you have the ability to name this particular drawing. You have the ability to set a scale for this drawing, and that is your sheet scale. If you're used to putting drawing views on a drawing, then you'll see that sheet scale is what is driving those views. The one right beside it is your type of projection. First angle and third angle projection. All those is just different ways of looking at your views. In North American continents, you're going to use the third angle. Excuse me. In the In Europe and the Asias, most of the time they're using the first angle. So just remember, if you go through and you put in the drawing views and they don't look right because the top view, instead of looking from the top down, is actually looking from the bottom up, then you've got the wrong angle of projection selected. Okay, that's the biggest portion of the difference here between third angle and first angle, is the way that the top view is looked upon. And then finally, over on the further right side, you see your labels. Now, this is the point to where you can customize it and create your own label text, if you would, and tell it what the next view label is going to be and the next datum label. The view label are going to be specialty views such as section views, detail views, crop views, that kind of thing, whereas the datums are going to be your surfaces or your edges that you're wanting to hold tolerances on. Now, if we look down even further into this, then we have another box called Display Sheet Format. And we talk about that in the next one, but with this box checked, you're automatically going to show that sheet format, and you're going to have the ability to change it. Okay? So with this, we have standard sheet formats that are in here, and if we go over to SolidWorks, and I right click here and go to my properties, you're going to see that my A landscape is tied with my A landscape sheet format. If I go in and do a browse, then I have all these sheet formats that I have to pick from. This is your title block. This is your borders. This is where you're getting information from your parts and where things are linked together. So your sheet format is very important as a part of the sheet template. Now, it's telling you that there was more than one type or more than one thing tied to a sheet template or a drawing template. The sheet size was one of them. The second one was the sheet format, okay? And the sheet format can be separate. It doesn't have to be the same name. It doesn't have to, have the same description or anything like that. You can call your sheet format anything that you would like to, okay? Now, the last and final thing that I want to talk about in this case is the custom sheet size. If you're looking to do custom sheet sizes, for instance, if you have a plotter that is running on a roll paper core, if you've got 72-inch paper and you can make that drawing any length that you want it to be, then you can go in there and actually set up your own lengths and widths. Just remember, whenever you set up a length and a width of a paper size, you've got to have, or you don't have to have, but you're not necessarily going to have a default sheet format for that, okay? So if you set up a huge sheet, then you've got to go in there and create a sheet format that's specifically for that sheet size, okay? None of your other sheets are going to work with that particular one. So just remember, whenever you click custom sheet format, you can go in there and make the sheet any size that you'd like, but you also have to make a corresponding sheet format if you want to have a title block or anything like that on it. What that's going to do for you whenever you save a sheet format is it's going to be able to allow you to set up a template for that size, okay? So you pick the size, you pick the sheet format that you're wanting on that size, and then you tell it, and then all of a sudden it shows up there in your standard sheet sizes, and you can pick it anytime that you need to after that. And we'll set up one of those as we go through. Okay? So if we go back to the standard, you can see there that the sheet format shows back up again. And that simply was a right click and properties. That brings up that box for your sheet, okay? Now, if we go back to the PowerPoint again, our sheet format is the next thing that we're going to talk about. And as you can see here, we can access the sheet format, we can change it, we can save it, and then we can do it to a specific sheet size. And that's what I was talking about a little bit earlier with the fact of the larger sheets. You can create a custom sheet format size, okay? And if you want the title block and stuff like that on it, then you would definitely want to do that. Now, to access the sheet format, it's again a right mouse button on your drawing, and go and edit the sheet format. When you do that, what's going to happen? It means that all your views that you have on there at that time is going to disappear. All of the, everything that you've got on there except for the title block that's saved as a format is going to be gone, and the lines and stuff that you have in there are going to show up as blue. Let's go to that SolidWorks, and if I right click and edit sheet format, you see that my lines on my title block are now blue. I have an icon up in my confirmation corner that tells me that I am now editing that sheet. Okay? So at this point in time, I could go in there and treat this just like a drawing. So if I want to go in here and trim lines, then I can do that. If I want to go in and add text, then I can do that. I can just put in a text box and type it in. Anything that I put in while I'm in edit sheet format mode is only accessible through that right mouse button and edit sheet format. Okay? I can't get to it any other way. If I right click and get out of this, now there's a couple of ways. If I click this button at the top, it takes me out. If I right click here and say edit sheet, it takes me back to my drawing views. And I'm ready to draw or ready to put something in there as far as drawing is concerned. But once I get to this point, I can't access anything in my title block. While I'm in edit sheet format mode, I can double click any of the text. I can add any kind of structure that I want in there. I can do anything that I'd like to in order to create the sheet that I'm looking at creating. And again, I say edit sheet. That takes me back out and allows me to work in a drawing mode. Now, once I get my sheet format the way I want it, I've got my title block set. I've got the and we're gonna do something else in a minute, but before we do that, I've got everything set up the way I want to. All I have to do is come up here to my file drop down and say save sheet format. Whenever I say save sheet format at this point, it's automatically going to take me to where my sheet formats are located at. This is the path where SolidWorks is looking for all the sheet formats for my drawings templates. So I can go in here at this point and I can say, okay, I want to call this one a landscape new. And actually I've already got a new one in here, so it'll write over that one. And yes, I want to replace it. And that saves that sheet format. Okay? At that point, if I go back into my properties and I do a browse, then I have that A landscape sheet format, A landscape new right there. So it's available to me to pick and use at this time. This is different from the regular A landscape. This is one I just created. Now, we're not done at that point because we still have one more step to do. But first, how does SolidWorks know where I want to be? How does SolidWorks know that this is where I want those sheet formats saved? Well, if you go into into your options, you have an option under System Options to go to your file locations. And under File Locations, you can go down here to Sheet Formats. And under Sheet Formats, you're going to see that you have the path there where all your sheet formats are going to be selected. And I didn't plug this thing in, so let me plug it up just real quick, guys. Thought I had more power than that. Sorry about that. So at this point, we can go in and add a reference or add a path. This is where I was telling you earlier. If you decided that you wanted to use a specific folder on your network drive to hold all of your formats, then you could save this at that folder. You could also change your sheet templates or your document templates to that same folder, so everything would be in one location. This allows you what? It allows you, one, to be able to use the same drawing template every time that your engineers or your users open it up, and it also allows you to have control over one set of templates instead of having multiple users have different templates with different items on them. So this is your file locations under your system options. Now if we go in there and look, let's just go ahead and do this here while we're here. If you look under your document templates, you also have the paths for those as well. So once you save those templates, then you have the ability to save them here. Once you save a path here, it should open up a folder on your new button. In other words, if you go in here to SolidWorks and click new, you should have a tab up here that appears for your particular templates that you just created. Once you get the, let's go back to the PowerPoint for a minute. Once you get the sheet format saved, and you save it for that specific sheet size, then you can go in there and create your sheet template, okay? And all we have to do when we save in a sheet template is do File, Save As, and then change your files of type to sheet template, okay? And in this one, we're going to kind of look. You can see that with the sheet templates, it does the same thing with the location. It also does the same thing with the automatically going to that location and saving, and it adds that template into the part of your the new dialog box. So if we go back over to our SolidWorks again, we're going to do a File, Save As this time instead of Save Sheet Format, and change our files of type from drawing to drawing templates. And like I said, then it opens up our templates here at that point. So we've created now a drawing format or a sheet format for our drawing. We've decided on the size of the sheet, and now then we've saved this as a template so that it's ready to use anytime that we get ready to pull something else up. Now, once we get to that point, we are pretty much done as far as saving the template. Now, we can also, after we save the template, there's other work that can be done. You know, SolidWorks is well known for its ability to go in and do things automatically, such as import information. And in that case, that's where we're going to find the custom properties that are going to come into play. Now, before I get into that, let's talk a minute about what I can do as far as the part itself. Once I import, and I heard someone mention it earlier about putting parts into drawings and having it automatically scale. SolidWorks will automatically scale your drawings to make sure that they fit on the sheet. You can also go in there and change the sheet itself simply by going in and doing the right click, going into the properties, changing the format as well as the sheet size. So if we go back to SolidWorks, and if I bring in a part that this part is too large and I want to edit that sheet or go to properties, then I can say, okay, I want to use the C landscape. It automatically pulls up the C landscape that I've got here. I can go in and browse, and I have a C landscape new that I created. If I can find it. Okay, landscape. Here, C. So I can click here, click open. Now I've got the right format and I've picked the right size. I can click open and that automatically changes the sheet format. So if I put a model on here, it allows me to go in and change that sheet format to make it to a larger size, even though my sheet size that I started with was an A size. Okay? So in this case, a lot of people will go back and they go, well, what about if we have a custom template? What if we have something that we've already got in place and we want to take and use it in place of what SolidWorks is providing? Well, it's as simple as creating that as a format and then opening up that drawing and replacing that format with your new format. And that puts your current sheet format or your current title block on your old sheets in SolidWorks. So it's not very hard to do that. Any questions, guys? Is this all pretty cut and dried? Everybody seen this before, or just, yeah? Okay. All right. Now, another thing that we can do in the sheet format phase, and I'm going to go back in this case to the A size. Pick the right one, click OK, OK to change it. And I want to put in a picture, or I want to put in a logo in this case. Now, if I want to insert the logo, I simply edit the sheet format. Now, why do I want to edit the sheet format at this point in time? Well, once I put the logo in, I don't want it being changed again. If I put it in without editing that sheet format, then anybody that opens it up can click on the logo and delete it. So here we're going to say edit sheet format. I'm going to go up to my toolbar to insert picture, and I'm going to go to my folder where that's located at. And I'm going to pick that logo. I'm going to drag it over. It's the wrong size. So simply with the drag handles that I've got, I can drag it around, make it smaller. Now, if you guys use any kind of Photoshop or anything like that, you're going to see over here that, the property manager for the sketch picture actually came up, and you have the ability to lock the aspect ratio, which means that if you change at a corner of it, it's going to move it both the same. Everything is going to be scaled at one time. So if you want to kind of stretch this out, put it into the window a little bit more, you can do that. Make it fit however you want to. Some people, they really are sticklers about their logo. They want them a certain size, certain colors, that kind of thing. And if you got that situation, you may not be able to do that. But and it looks kind of odd right now, right? Because you can't really see it. But if you go over here to the box called transparency, and right now there is none. So we're just going to click the one that says from file. And with the one from file, then suddenly I can see all the text and the print there that I'm looking for. And I just click OK to accept it. Now at that point, I'm going to go in there, right click, edit sheet. And it's just that simple to add your logo to your drawing sheet and create your custom size or custom template itself. All right. Now, guys, and kind of to reiterate, the drawing sheet format is only a sketch and text. That's all it is. So if you have a DWG, if you have a picture that you've got as your text, you can go in there and actually copy the whole thing as the sketch and bring it in to a blank sheet and paste it on top here, and then go in there and size it to make sure that you have the right size and to give yourself the right the look that you're looking for as far as a company. Okay. Any questions about doing that? Yes, sir.
I was just wondering, do you have to worry about the logo obliterating your border, your title block lines and such, like that sphere around the M is covering over,
the line below it?
Line, yeah.
Yes, sir.
Will that obliterate it?
Yes, sir. The picture will override any lines that you've got on there. So if you want to make sure that you don't cover any lines, you just make it a little smaller, squeeze it up. I didn't pay that much attention to it, but yeah, you're right. Anytime that you bring a picture into a drawing like that, it's going to override any entities that you've got in there, so you're going to miss those. Yes, sir.
I've had sometimes issues bringing pictures in. I've had to save it like on a Word file document and then copy it from from a Word document and then bring it in. I don't know why. Sometimes it will not accept dropping the...
It won't open it at all? Sometimes size has something to do with it, size and definition. If you've got a high definition picture, or if the size is too large for SolidWorks' for the drawing area, then it'll balk. It won't let you do that. I've had to go in and open things up in Paintbrush and scale them down to a certain size, even change the DPI on them, and then save it as a JPEG or a bitmap or something like that, and then try to bring it back in. And most of the time it works if I do something like that. Yes, sir.
What about the location of that JPEG? Does that matter where it's at?
No, sir.
So
You could put your title. You could
if
put.
it's on your hard drive or something, and people are accessing on the network, they won't be able to pull it, right?
Yes, they will.
Oh,
It's there. It's permanent. Right.
Once
It's
you save it,
right. It's embedded into that drawing format.
okay.
So that's for there forevermore
It's no
until.
longer linked to-
Right. It's no longer linked to that particular file. Yes, sir.
What's it do to your file size?
Was it due to your template size? Very little. I can pull it up and show you, but it doesn't do very much to it. As long as you keep the picture calm, I mean, you don't have such a high definition picture in there that you're shrinking down, it's very little, very minimal. Yes, sir.
Is it considered that a real sketch picture? Because usually you can use a print to front or send it back. And then I might put it behind it.
Put it behind it? Yes, sir. It is a real sketch picture. It didn't give me that option. If we right click and edit that sheet format and right click, you can change the layer. I don't think I have the ability to go to it, but select it. That's what I'd done was if I would double click it maybe. I can cancel clear selection. This doesn't give me any ability. Flip horizontally or vertically is all that is. Customize menu. I still don't have a bring to the front. Okay. Yes, sir.
I use the picture volume to use it in the background across the whole page. It works within SolidWorks fine, but when you put it to PDF, it just brings it forward. As you know where around it.
No.
It's a product document that goes on there.
Yeah.
So they can't just copy everything off and just put background image.
I don't know.
When you take the PDF, it brings it all to the front.
Now, I've never experienced that. I don't guess. I've never tried to save them as PDFs. I guess in most cases, but sorry. Yes, sir.
For security purposes, is there any way to lock down any of the data in the format that can't be edited? Because if the user right-click and go to that edit, they can change and add and remove that will. So is there any way to lock anything down? You want to be able to do some edit. Is there any way to lock?
You can make it a read-only file. On the template, yeah. Just right-click on the template in the Explorer and make it read-only. And then only you have to have administrative privileges to get to it. Of course, the best way to handle that is with an EPDM system. I mean, you can just give permissions to whoever needs to have those permissions to edit it, and that'd be all you'd have to worry about. Okay? All right, so that's sheet formats and being able to insert those in. Now, what about linking material or linking properties back to SolidWorks components? If I go in and let's just create a part here, and this is just a part inch that I'm creating. I'm just going to do a front view, and let's just do something simple. Just create a extrusion. Now, once I get to this point, and I know I hear a lot of people talk about being able to access custom properties and being able to put those custom properties onto their parts. Now, custom properties are a big part of SolidWorks drawing. Okay, so if you want custom property, or if you want properties to populate your drawing title sheet, then you have to put them into custom properties somewhere down the line. The easiest way to do that, and of course your custom properties, if you look where those are found, if you go under your file and properties, then you access them here. You have 3 tabs. You have your summary, you have your custom, and you have your configuration specific. You also have the ability to go in here and access it from your top toolbar. Just with a simple click beside the options toolbar, you can access all of your custom options. Now, the easiest way to handle this is actually with the task pane custom properties tab. If I click in that tab, I can set up, using my custom properties manager, a series of information that I can plug in, and then once I plug that information in here, then it'll automatically come into my drawing. So let's just go in here and let's create something under my project name, my part number. The material is not specified. I haven't done that yet. It's over here, not specified. If I do the drop down box here on material not specified, it actually gives me my favorites and allows me to edit the material at that point. I can go in then and pick the, let's just pick alloy steel for the time being and apply. Now then, I've got alloy steel in my feature tree. So I've actually assigned it through the custom properties to give me that part. My revision number, in this case, if I want to manually control it, let's just call this B. My weight is automatically calculated in there based on the alloy steel. I got 9.27 grams. I can put in a description, just call it the block. I have the ability to do a drawn by, and with the drawn by, I can put a list in there. Now, with the list, I can choose from a list of typed in usernames, like my engineering staff or my users, or I can pull in an Excel spreadsheet that's got of all those people on it, or I can even go one further and get it from a database and pull those users in. So in this case, this is drawn by me. Drawn date, I drop it down, today's 21st. Approved by, I now have my managers in here, so let's just put Mr. John in there. Approved date is today. And then the finish, I can say that this is stainless. And I save it. Now, whenever I save this part, and then go back to my drawing, or actually let's just go ahead and just insert, make a drawing from that part or assembly. And we're going to put it on our A-size sheet. Now you see here that I have nothing in here other than part 1 and my scale information. But once I drag in from my view palette that part, then it automatically populates my alloy steel, my stainless finish. My name is drawn by, the dates. Mr. John is the manager. I see that I've got the weight in there. I've got the revision in there. All of this is controlled through those custom properties that I put in there on the part side, okay? So that's a very quick and easy way of doing that. Now, you might say, how do you set up one of those things? Right? Anybody got that question? How do you set up one of those? Anybody use the property manager? Some? Okay, good. So if you wanted to use the property manager, you have a couple of ways of getting to it. The easiest of which, and I'm all about the easiest way, is if I go into my design library under the SolidWorks resources, I have property tab builder here under my SolidWorks tools in 2013. SolidWorks tools is not here in 2012, but you do have it there now in 2013. So if I click property tab builder, then it opens up my property tab builder. You don't have to have SolidWorks open to do this. If you wanted to go in here, you can go to File and All Programs go into your SolidWorks 2013, SolidWorks Tools, and there is your property tab builder there under that list. So you have the access both ways. Once you get to this point, you can take a look here. You have the ability, and it went away. You have the ability to save this as a part. This is my part document template, or my property tab. If I drop that down, you see that I have the ability to save a property tab for a part, assembly, drawing, and even a weldment. So if I want specific information on my weldment and I want it typed in as I'm building that weldment, or whenever I create the part, then I can even create one there using for the weldment itself. So in this case, we're just going to leave this at part. Now I have the ability, first of all, I can go in there and open up and edit this template. So if I open up the template that I just filled in, you see here what I've done. I've created boxes in my group, and I named this one SolidWorks World Properties, so everything is taken care of. Now, to create, well, once you create this, you simply go save. And if we do a save as, then it's going to put it into the folder where my templates are located, where SolidWorks file location says that my part templates are located at. Okay? These are custom properties. Now, if I close this and we open up a new one, I want to show you a little bit of how we can go about creating new components. If we take, first of all, our group box here, if we click in it, we can name that anything that we want to. So if we want to call this one Session SolidWorks World, we can do that. Once we get our group box in place, then we can just start dragging a text box in place. We can go in here in that text box and say, okay, I want this to be the description. And under the variable, and that's what these are, you're linking it to a variable inside SolidWorks. You just do a drop down and you say, okay, this is going to be my description. And under the description, you have a couple of options here. You can actually type in a value if you know what that description is going to be. In most cases, you're not going to want to type in anything here. You want to leave it available. But you also have the ability to say that this is for configuration specific, or it is for the custom tab. So you have a choice of putting it in either one, okay? Whenever you're using your configuration specific, you're using it for the part that has multiple configurations. For instance, if you create a part and you have two different types of metal that it's made out of, or two different types of material, then you can create a configuration for each one of those and have that material being configuration specific. Yes, sir?
Clarification, are you creating tabs for that template or for that document template that you have open?
It could be, yes, sir. I mean, it's not necessarily for this document template. I can create as many property tab templates as I would like. I can make it specific for a certain product. I can make it specific for certain customers. You know, if that certain customer has to have certain information on their drawing, then I could go in there and create one for Acme or for SolidWorks for that matter. So as you create these things, you can save multiple part templates. And if you look here at the bottom of this custom properties, I don't have one for a sheet. Go back to my part. If I look here at the bottom of my custom properties, I have more properties. I can go in there and type in more properties at that point, or I can click on the button right beside it that says click for template options, and here it'll open up, and any templates that I've got in there, you can drop them down and say, oh, well, I need this one for SolidWorks because SolidWorks has to have, you know, XYZ on theirs instead of, you know, what my normally template would have. So this gives you the ability to use any template for any part as you're creating. Okay? So we've created a description. We've made it into the configuration for the custom tab. Let's do a list. If I drop in the list, and in this case, we'll put the drawn by. Now the caption is nothing more than text. I mean, it just giving you a header for that particular part. But the custom property attributes, where you're choosing your variable, that's where you go in there and you find the variable that closely matches what you're looking for. In this case, you're looking for drawn by. And like I said before, you have the ability to put in a list. You can drag in a text file, browse for it, or an Excel file, or you can actually use an Access database if that's where all of your users are located. In this case, we're just going to do a text file, or actually, I'm going to use a list. And at that point, I go in there and type in my names. And you see how this works. And we're going to make this for a custom tab. But also there is a button right below that list that says allow custom values. Now what that means is you have the ability, if your name's not in that drop down list, you can type your name in. Okay? So if you click allow custom values, then that puts that in place there. You also have the ability to, of course, that text box, if we were to drag it in and say, let's do this one as drawn date. And here we're going to say the same thing. We're going to say drawn date. And instead of text here that we've got under our type, we're just going to change that to a date. And you notice you also have a yes, no there as well. So just a toggle. So with the date chosen, then whenever you do a drop down on a date category like that, it's going to bring up the current calendar and allow you to pick that date without having to type it in. Okay? So this just gives you a little bit of an idea. Again, if I do the number, drag it in, I can go in there and pick what I want this to be, like project number. I want this to be project number. Then I go to my custom property attributes and pick the project number variable, or project in that case. And I don't have to put a value in there, and then just put custom tab there. Once you finish with the boxes that you're wanting to put in there, I mean, you have the ability to do check boxes, radio buttons and stuff like that to kind of point it in a different direction. But once you get to that point, then you're ready to say save. And if you save this, then it's going to put it right back into the same folder that your other template is in. So then you're going to have two choices for template to pick from. Okay? Is that clear to everybody? Any questions? Yes, sir.
So if you change the material to like a different part, will it automatically change the material on the title block?
Yes. Yes. It's just like any other associativity question with SolidWorks. If you change a dimension, will it automatically change the part and the drawing? Everything is linked, so once you change it in the part and then you rebuild that drawing, then it'll automatically change it there as well. Okay? Another neat thing with SolidWorks, and this is just came about recently, and this doesn't have anything to do with properties or sheet formats and stuff, but as far as sheets are concerned, if you do a lot with configurations, you now have the ability to copy and paste sheets, not just within themselves or within that file, but outside of that file. So in other words, if you create a part and you have 10 different configurations, you don't have to have all 10 sheets of those configurations in one file with the drawing. You can now paste those drawings apart and keep them separate. And you only have to do one. You don't have to do multiple drawings, so you do the one drawing. Any questions, guys?
Yeah, on that property tab builder, does it have to exist on your local users, or can it exist on the network? But if it's existing on the network and other users are using it, will you get cross data?
It can exist on the network data. I mean, you can put these formats on a network so that everybody's using the same thing. And it's just like what he was asking about earlier about being able to control this. It's a Explorer file just like anything else. You can right click on it and say read only, and then you have to have administrative permission in order to edit it.
Well, let's say you have 7 users, they're all working on drawings, 2 or 3 of your users are working on, say, 3 drawings. They have to go into the custom property tab communication amongst each other or across data?
No. No. Anything else?
Can you make the part so that when it comes into a drawing, that the drawing scale fills out based on what the part was scaled to? Instead of, like in the property scale on our parts of where I work, they make you put the scale of the part in the custom properties.
Mm-hmm.
So all this part's going to be on this size paper, and you guesstimate the, because you don't know, sometimes a large assembly, and it's a little bit bigger when you start trying to put the views in, now I got to reduce the scale to get it to fit. Then you got to manually go back to the part, open it up, change the scale. Is there a way just to leave the scale generic on the part, and when you scale it in, it plugs that information in from the sheet scale that it's actually...
There is a way to plug that in. I'm not sure if I follow exactly what you're saying. If you go and you use
go to the drawing,
like
right
you're-
there it says scale ½ inch.
right.
Okay. Say that part was too big at a ½ inch, and you went over and you selected a new scale for your drawing, so the part scaled down to that drawing to automatically populate with that. with the
Okay,
scale.
so you're saying if I right click here and go to properties, change my scale here to 1:1 instead of the 1:2, click OK.
Sounds like they're grabbing from the property instead of
Yeah, it's driven by property. It's exactly right.
Okay, if it's driven by the property,
If you click on the component that you brought in, zoom out a little bit, look at the part. Click on that part, and over on the side, you have scale right there.
right?
So you say use custom scale.
Okay.
Right now, ours is being driven from the sheet. Yours looks like it's linked, because if you change the scale there, yours is going to change, right?
Okay, the scale that I've got here is simply the sheet scale. If I change that custom scale and I change that to a 1:2, then it's going to change that scale, but it's not going to change the scale that I've got here. Is that?
You don't ever want to use a custom scale, you always want it to link.
Yeah, as much as possible you do. I mean, there's cases whenever you do section views and things like that that you'll want to get a larger view of it and you'll want to change it at that point. What you're saying is if I go back to the part and we'll just go into this custom properties manually, and I'm going to add a scale to this. Let's see if I can find it. It's not.
Somebody has already, I didn't.
Okay, so I just type it in. Type in scale there. Come right over here and say this is 1:1:5, for instance. All right, that puts that custom property in there. Then I can click and come back over to my sheet, and I can change that scale. Put in. Let's go edit the sheet format.
I want to get away from that so that when they change the sheet scale, that populates. I think I just got to go and get rid of the scale.
Okay. Well, what I was going to show you is if I add a note here, I can add a note. I can use a link to property button and go in there and do model in the view specified here. Drop this down and pick the scale that I just put in and click OK, and then that puts that scale there. Is that what you're looking at doing, or is?
No, I think you did it better.
That's what they are
in
doing.
the sheet.
They want to do it the other way,
Get
by the
away
sheet.
from that. That's exactly what they're doing.
Okay.
They're populating from the sheet,
Okay.
and people go in, and we have no EPDM yet, but they're coming in March.
Okay.
I'm not sure, but can't you copy the property where the scales are listed in the custom properties parts that talks back?
Yes. Yes.
That turn solve your issue.
Well, that's what I was trying to get at, is if there was a way at the part level where that scale is written, to go read whatever the sheet says. And I think in 2013 I can, but they're using 2012 right now. I don't think it has that.
Okay, guys, any other questions? We've about reached the end of our session. Any final thoughts? I do have one thing that I want to show you, and this may be of interest to you, and it may not, I don't know. But I pulled this out of the drawing book, And I've got some copies of this up here. I've got limited amounts, so if you guys want one, you can come back up here and get one. But this basically gives you a breakdown of the makeup of a sheet template. You see the sheet size, you got the drawing template with the format of the sheet, the document properties, the predefined views. You've got your reference parts and assemblies, your sheet format down here where it says the title block, the border, the notes, embedded images, and then custom properties. So, like I said, I've got limited amounts of these. If you guys want them, they're here until they're gone. Nothing else. Thank you very much.